Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and greetings of peace and good morning to all my friends, family, subscribers, supporters, and anyone else who's watching my channel currently. So today's little podcast, I intended to take some time off because I've got a bit of work to catch up with. However, this was a bit urgent because I wanted to clarify a few points from a good friend of mine. I'm just going to read some of his comments just now to refresh my mind and make sure that I answer all the questions. So yeah, he's upset and angry of what's going on in Israel, Palestine, and so on. And he's making his comment based on what's being shared in mainstream media that the Gazans, the Palestinians, are the aggressors, and therefore, they deserve what's coming to them, and so on. Because that's the main narrative that's being pushed in the mainstream media. Now, of course, I don't accept any sort of violence against any human beings, irrespective of their creed, their ethnicity, and so on. So this is completely unacceptable, and for people to cross the boundaries. But according to his comments, I think he probably doesn't know the rules of engagement in Islam. And then we'll cover that first, then I'll make some comments on what's happened, or what's claimed to be Hamas, what they did, or anyone that attacked these festival goers, and what actually happened, and so on. So we need to be give a balanced view and explain exactly what happened. And I'm not justifying any sort of violence against civilians, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first, let's go through the 10 Islamic rules. There is more rules, but the core tenets, the rules in the war or any sort of conflict. How should you behave? How should you act? What is allowed and disallowed? So let's go through that together. You can actually go on Google and research yourself, and of course you should approach Muslim sources to understand from their Islamic perspective. So these are the main 10 rules here. It says, given by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, peace and blessing be upon him. Number 1, no killing of children or women, no killing of elders and sick persons. So any elders or any invalid person, disabled, anyone that's incapacitated. Exercise patience even during war. Not to head into war hoping for a conflict. You should always look for a peaceful resolution. So even if it comes down to there's going to be some sort of conflict, you should go out with the intention that you're seeking peace. And if your enemy or the person that's attacking you, they decided to surrender, you're not allowed to exceed that bound. You have to give them peace. And if you take a captive in a conflict situation, like a prisoner of war, once they're in your basically they're with you, you have to then treat them equally to yourself. You have to feed them from what you eat. You have to clothe them the way you're clothed. You have to treat them like a guest in your house. You have to treat them with respect, because they're a human being, and we're all one family. So once there's no war, there's no danger, then you have to treat them well. You have to show them respect, because they're still a human being. They're still your brother in humanity. So that's the thing. And then it says, leaving the monks, any religious people, or anyone in a religious like monastery or a temple, or any form of house which is regarded as a house of God or anything like that. You're not allowed to touch those places of worship. You're not allowed to attack any religious figures, anything like that. You have to leave them in peace. No destruction of property or cultivated lands and crops. You're not even allowed to poison water. You're not allowed to burn crops, like to starve your enemy or harm their property in any way. You have to respect everyone's property. That's 1. No uprooting or burning of green and fruit-bearing trees. Like I said, you're not allowed to chop down trees and so on. So you can't harm the environment in these situations. No slaughtering of animals for reason other than food. So if obviously if you're in a conflict situation and you need to eat, there's a chicken, you slaughter the chicken, you eat, and so on. So you can do that, but you can't just kill indiscriminately animals just so you can starve your enemy or cause destruction to the farmland and so on. So you're not allowed to do that. Not yeah, I mentioned about even burning bees as well. No hunting or hurting, that kind of stuff. So you're not allowed to do any of that. No theft or robbery. So you're not even allowed to go into someone's property and steal a TV or steal their wealth or resources, anything like that. So, and you have to, and also to the point as well, avoid destruction of inhabited places. So you can't do that. In fact, in a conflict situation, if there's an enemy that's attacking you, and there's a risk that even as small as 1% probability that an innocent civilian or a bystander or an animal can get harmed in your retaliation, you're not even allowed to take that shot. That is Islam. There's so many constraints on Muslim fighters that you're not allowed to do any of that. Now, I'm going to answer the questions that this brother in humanity sent me via WhatsApp to tell me, look, the behavior of the fighters, the videos that emerged, them committing atrocities, rape, kidnapping, taking innocent civilians as hostages, that kind of stuff, beheadings. Number one, you're not allowed to mutilate the body of a dead person. You're not allowed to chop their heads or harm their body in any way. Even to the soldier, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to step on their neck like what we've seen in some videos. You're not allowed to any of the stuff that you might have seen, but you have to understand these people are human beings. The Hamas fighters, freedom fighters, whatever. They are still human beings, and the vast majority of them are ignorant to Islam. They're not aware of these rules, so they're acting on their human instinct. They're taking revenge for 75 years of of uh, you know of occupation and torture and indiscriminate killing on the Palestinians. So they're just acting out of rage, out of anger, and when they're doing that, they're doing things outside of religion. It's nothing to do with Islam. It's nothing to do with the rules of engagement here. They're just acting. And there was all sorts of actors when they did this assault on Israel, on the occupied land of Palestine. They did it out of out of rage, out of anger. A lot of them, people that joined in the fight and that stuff, a lot of them are ignorant. They haven't been to, many of them didn't go to school, many of them didn't go to a university, many of them didn't study Islam. They're just born into a religion, so they're just acting out of rage. They're taking revenge on those who harm them, and that is not allowed in Islam, by the way. This is completely unacceptable. When the Prophet Muhammad entered Mecca, for example, he gave peace to everyone. He said anyone that stays in their house, anyone that goes, surrounding the Kaaba, whatever, will not be harmed. Anyone who does not have a weapon and is not going out to fight us, we will not harm them. And all their past actions are forgiven. He gave everyone like a peace resolution. He didn't harm anyone that went going out for combat. In fact, no blood was shed at that time. Everybody surrendered and there was peace, and they did not take them up for the crimes that they committed over that period of time. The murder, the rapes, all the stuff, the theft. They never took them to account to that. They just forgave them. They wiped all their bad deeds clean. As long as now you're surrendering, no combat between us. Okay, so yes, I do agree that it was not allowed to attack like the festival goers and just take prisoners of war or whatever as from civilians. That's not allowed. And we've seen as also videos emerged of these atrocities that's going on. We also seen that there were Hamas fighters or Palestinian fighters, whatever, and they were also preventing others from harming other civilians. They were stopping others from killing innocent civilians or exploiting the women and all that stuff. So there were other fighters that were stopping this kind of behavior as well. So some fighters knew the rules and they were protecting the Israeli captives against other people that were trying to seek revenge, and they were preventing other people from looting people's properties or assets, although they've done it to them, and they're only trying to retaliate and take back some of the resources that these the settlers have taken from the Palestinians. However, it was not justifiable, and some of the fighters were preventing other fighters and other individuals that were there to cause havoc and exploit the situation. Just like if there was no police in London, whatever, you see all these riots going on, people break into shops, and everyone goes out and tries to loot the shops and so on. They try to take advantage of the situation, of the chaos. So likewise, there were people out there trying to take advantage of the situation and rob people's properties and take revenge on the occupiers and people that have harmed them in so many ways, and the people that are taking revenge on their mothers and their sisters and their wives and their daughters being raped. So they're taking now revenge on the rapists. So it might look like it's a bad thing, and I don't accept them doing it in this way. It's absolutely wrong. And you going out and seeking your own justice, taking the law in your own hand. But you have to understand the psychology of the people that were there at the time, and they're trying now to take the law in their own hand, take revenge, seek justice with their own hand. So you have to understand it from that perspective. Now, it is absolutely wrong. I don't accept, according to these rules, that you should take any sort of civilians, children, elders, disabled, people that are unarmed in any way. By all means, if you're in a combat situation, you catch the soldiers, you take them in, you treat them well. They're now, a prisoner of war, and then you can do a hostage exchange, whatever you could do, and that's acceptable. You don't harm them. Of course, if you're a hostage with the Israelis, they will not give you any respect. They'll be torturing you, cutting you to pieces, stealing your organs, raping you, torturing you. This is what the Israelis do because they are following Satan. So we're not like them. We cannot behave barbaric like them. So that's something as well. They don't have these rules. But we as Muslims, we have rules. We have rules of engagement. We cannot exceed those bounds. And there was a time in the Prophet Muhammad in the battle, I can't remember if it was Uhud or whichever battle. Please, if someone knows, please correct me. And I think it was Umar ibn Khattab. He was in a sword fight with a disbeliever in the battle. And then that disbeliever from Quraysh, from the Kuffar, he lost his sword, or he fell down on the ground. And then just before Umar al-Khattab was about to strike him, the man spat in his face. And Umar al-Khattab just walked away. It could have been Khalid bin Walid. I'm not sure who it was that was in this encounter. And he walked away. And then that person that was on the ground, expecting to die, this was his last moment in life, and he was about to be struck by the sword. He ran after the Umar al-Khattab and said to him, "Why didn't you kill me?" Or the companion of the Prophet, I can't remember the name to give you the exact story. It might have been Ali ibn Abi Talib, it could have been anybody else, one of the companions of the Prophet. And he said to him, because had I struck you, you was unarmed and you spat in my face, and had I struck you, it would have been for myself, taking revenge on you for spitting in my face. But I can't do that. You're unarmed, there's no way of you protecting yourself, it's not a fair fight. And I can't do that because the Prophet told us these rules. That man eventually became a Muslim because of the behavior. Because of this, he said, this is such an amazing, religion. And he looked into it. So it's just your behavior, your characters. That's how you're supposed to proclaim the message. And there's no compulsory religion. You cannot exceed these bounds. You cannot force people into something. It's unacceptable. And you can't also harm other human beings, harm even animals. One of these rules: don't kill animals for no reason. Don't, burn bees, and don't damage property, and don't, you know, uh, harm the environment in any way. You have to be very careful. Yes, it will be more difficult in a combat situation like what, obviously Hamas is getting all the credit, but I don't believe it was just Hamas. Of course, there must have been a united front of all Palestinian parties and all freedom fighters. They must have united together for a common cause to take this forward. And there must have been some sort of other third party entities outside for them that have supported these parties to go into this particular assault on the occupied territories of Palestine, and to seek revenge. So there must have been other people, other countries that must have supported this action because it was well organized. But however, there's no excuse for them to behave like the way they did. But you need to, please, if you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, whatever, don't just take your information out of the mainstream media. Don't take from the fake news. Yes, some atrocities happen. I'm not saying they didn't do some of the things that this brother, particular European brother, is claiming, non-Muslim brother. May Allah give him hidayah. But I'm not saying they didn't do this. However, you need to look at the bigger picture. There are also other videos, other narratives where there were other Muslims and other fighters that were stopping the fighters that were crossing the bounds, these limits, and educating them while they're in the battlefield, protecting the hostages, protecting other civilians. So that's important. And then there are videos that are being surfacing as well where these hostages are being treated well. They're being given water like that. This would not happen if you're a prisoner with Israel. You will not be treated with respect. You will not have any human rights. You don't even have any. They don't even have human rights when they're attacking. They indiscriminately kill. They're focused on ethnic cleansing because their ideology states for them that they're a superior race, which is complete garbage. There is no such thing as a superior race. This is pure racism. Zionism is built on racism. Zionism, racism. Don't you see the link? It even rhymes together. Racist Zionism. They're just nothing more than a terrorist state. They're there to spread terror, fear, corruption in the land. They've hijacked an ethnic minority. The Jews is a race, and they've hijacked that, and they use it as a pretext to create a cult around it, a terror group, and that's how they've occupied someone else's land. Of course, with the British blessing that they've invaded Palestine first, and they handed it over to this terrorist group to take it over and so on. So that's the reality. 75 years of occupation of someone else's land. It's unacceptable. Now, do the Jews belong in Palestine? Do they belong in that region? Absolutely. They belong everywhere. They belong in Egypt. They belong in Morocco. They belong all over North Africa. They belong everywhere in the world. They have every right to exist and coexist everywhere in the world. But it does not mean that we need to create a country exclusively for a particular race. We can't turn the UK purely for people that are Anglo-Saxon. There is no one that's 100% pure British. There's no such thing. We all came from the same source. We all came from the same father, Adam. We all came from Abraham, alayhi salam. Isaac and Ismail were brothers. If you didn't know that, we didn't come from different planets. We're not like different aliens, and we inhabited the earth, and then now we're fighting each other over, control of this planet. We're actually from the same father. So we're all brothers and sisters. Why can't you get that through your thick skull? You know, what kind of a fool are you to think that you are a superior race? It's complete nonsense. Many Egyptians are ethnically part Jew. Many Egyptians are ethnically part European. We're all mixed. There's no one's pure 100% Egyptian. You can't get someone and do a genetics test and they'll be 100%, from Pharaoh or something like that. It's not going to happen. We're all mixed. We all get accepted as Egyptians. And likewise, in Britain, in Scotland, anywhere, you look at the genetics of the composition, they're all from diverse backgrounds. Some are a small percentage of Middle Eastern and more percentage of European, some are less. But we all are related. We're all, part African, part Asian, part everything. We are all related. We're all brothers and sisters. And Allah created us this way. He made us from a single pair of male and female and made us into nations and tribes. So we can recognize each other. We have differences, but we're equal. We are different, but equal. I'm not saying that this is a superior, this is an inferior. Men and women are equal. They're different. They have roles and responsibilities. Some women are better at certain things. Men are a bit weaker. I noticed this when I'm a developer, a software engineer, and I find some of my female colleagues, they're better at performing certain tasks, but they get stressed out in certain situations. And my male colleagues or myself, I find those particular tasks that they find very stressful very easy. But I find some tasks that are very stressful, the female colleagues deal with it better. It does not mean that I am a superior than them or they're a superior than me, but we're different. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses. And likewise, or even between male colleagues, you find that they perform better at certain tasks in some situations, and I perform better in different tasks. Because we're different. We complete each other. Together, everyone achieves more. So we should be united. We should be cooperating to do good in the world, save this planet, make this world a better place for the next generation. Not try to exploit the world, not try to exploit the environment for our own selfish gains. We should be thinking, how could we contribute to society? While we're here, we came to this planet, I'm here today, what can I do for the next 50, 60, 70 years of my life? If I live that long, I have to plan ahead. I need to set a goal for the future. That is what Islam teaches us. Islam is an Arabic word which means submission to the will of God. And what does God tell us? What's his rules? So submission to the will of God is these rules. I'm pointing on this side now. Yeah. So these rules are submission to the will of God. So someone who claims to be a Muslim has to abide by these rules. No killing of children, no killing of women, no killing of the elders. You can't harm innocent civilians, irrespective of their creed, their nationality, irrespective of whatever. You cannot harm them. So even the Palestinians, I'm speaking to my Muslim brothers now, Palestine, and those who are part of Hamas or whatever. Yes, you have every right to defend yourself, every right to fight back, every right to liberate Palestine, but you cannot exceed these bounds. You have to stick within these parameters. Otherwise, you're not submitting to the will of God. You're breaking the rule, the covenant between you and the Creator. Okay, let them do whatever they want. If they don't have any rules. Their rule is kill everyone, kill all human beings, destroy the planet, cause corruption, spread fasad. They're the very definition of servant of Satan. They're the servants of Iblis, because Iblis is a racist. And they've taken that racist ideology and created their own organization called Zionism. Nothing about the return of Jews to Palestine and returning of the land and whatever. Is complete garbage. It's complete nonsense. When the Muslims, Umar and Khattab, when he entered Jerusalem, he asked the Roman, he asked him, where are the Jews? Where are our brothers? He asked for Bani Israel. He asked, where are they? And they said, we massacred them all. And he got upset. He said, where's the Temple Mount? He asked for the Temple Mount. And they said, we use it as a garbage dump. The Temple Mount. This is what the Romans were doing as a revenge on the Jews. And what did he do? He went there, and he's the leader of the Islamic State. He's the leader. He's the Khalifa. Imagine that. A leader, Prime Minister. Imagine Rishi Sunak or Joe Biden going there to the like a rubbish dump and picking the rubbish with his own hands and cleaning up the Temple Mount. And he asked one of the revert brothers, who originally was a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi, and he reverted to Islam. Because Islam and Judaism, or the Torah, is actually Islam. It's actually submission to the will of God. You ask any Jew or any religious Orthodox Jew, say to him, what's your tenets of faith? And he will say, we submit to this one God. And it's Islam. It's the same belief. We have exactly the same belief. The difference is they believe only that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah, and that's the name that even Arab Jews give. Allah is the name of the Creator, which means the God, the only God. In any other language, you might have a different way of the word, the God. So it's not any different. It's an Arabic word called Allah. So, and Allah has many attributes, so you can call him, he has many names. So it's not an issue there. That's not the point. But at the same time, he asked that rabbi, the former rabbi, who is now a Muslim, he said to him, go out there, travel, look for any Jewish family and invite them to Jerusalem. Bring them back and tell them that we're here to protect them. We'll make sure that they are safe, protected, they have all their religious rights, they can worship in their temple, they can, synagogue, and they can do everything they want. They can even participate in government. There were Jews, Jewish and everything, and they believe in their own belief and live in their life, and they had senior positions in the government, under an Islamic state, under an Islamic government. So that is justice, equal opportunity for all, irrespective of their creed, gender. It's total nonsense what you hear on the media and elsewhere. The facts, the reality of what happened in history. And when the Jews were persecuted in Europe, the Muslims are the people that rushed to protect them. They opened their homes. They were hospitable. They showed kindness and love because they are brothers in humanity. Even if they're a disbeliever, they're still our brother. They're still our sister. We have to respect them. We have to treat them well. That is what Islam teaches us. That all human beings and all human life is sacred. We cannot harm any human being. Doesn't matter what they are. And those people that are party goers, they might not know anything about Islam. They might have been garbage, brainwashed since childhood from their school. And telling them that, Palestinians are like a different race from a different planet or whatever, and they're the enemy, they're like invaders from a different planet. All this nonsense they give them as children. And now the only exposure they have of the Muslims and the Palestinians, and they see you behaving in a bad way, that's not acceptable. Brothers and sisters, that's not acceptable. We have to treat them well. And I know we have to be fair. Yes, they did. There were some that were spared and they were treated well. They didn't get taken captive from the fighters that had some education. But then you have to put everything in perspective. Not everyone has the same level of education. Not everyone has that understanding. Some people are just culturally Muslims. They took Islam, they inherited it as a culture for them. They didn't really research Islam correctly. They didn't read the Quran and understand the rules and the Hadith, the sayings of the Prophet, like I'm showing you here. They didn't have access to the internet to read all this stuff and Google stuff and find out the facts. Unfortunately, that's the reality. Okay? So you have to, I'm not saying to forgive them, but at least understand the psychology of human beings. Don't pass a judgment based on what you see on the media. Please understand that before you pass a judgment and say, oh yeah, you know, look at them, this, they had it coming for them. And now, why would you punish a whole nation, ethnically cleanse a whole race, a human race, from a planet for just the behavior of one person or two people? Imagine there's 1 billion people. There's now 2 billion Muslims on the planet. And now you're now on a mission to kill 2 billion people, wipe them off the planet completely, because one person committed a crime, one person committed murder. Why don't you go after that person that committed murder and judge them, punish them, apply the law on them? Don't apply the law on everybody, the innocent and the guilty, and just, you know, brush everyone with the same paintbrush. Don't do that. You have to be just. Now, I don't expect justice to come from the Europeans. I mean, the Europeans, unfortunately, a lot of, I'm talking about government here, I'm not talking about civilians. Wipe that out, because even my grandmother's Scottish, so, and I'm 40% European, so I can't say that. It's not Europeans as the people, or the British as in the people. I'm talking about the government level, the people that are profiteering of our ignorance and our division. They're trying to divide us and conquer us. They're trying to exploit us. They see us as a product for them to do experiments on us. You know, we are like their guinea pigs. They play, you know, they let us live for a while for their own benefit, for their own profits. And then when they no longer need us, they'll just wipe us out. Give us all some injections, and, you know, we'll all die, basically. They want to get rid of us. They don't no longer need us slaves to serve their needs and profit them any longer. They'll have machines to do that for them, to serve them. As long as they live, they exploit the earth. So I'm not talking about us as normal civilians, the 99% ordinary folk, peace-loving folk. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about people that are in power, exploiting us, trying to divide us. They've been on a rampage since the beginning of history. You know, colonizing, invading countries, taking slaves in from Africa, enslaving people, abusing. You know, even in Egypt, they massacred 500,000 men, threw them into wars, used them as human shields. This is what the British did to the Egyptians. They did it to Indians. They did it to Africans. They invade, they rape the country, rape the people, enslave everyone else, because they believe in a superior race as well. So it's the same thing. You know, there's a guy by the name of Cecil Rhodes. I don't know if you probably heard of him. He was the most racist individual from the British. And he was saying, you know, the River Nile, he will make it a red river. Basically, he was saying that the whole River Nile will be flowing with blood, corpses and blood of other human beings. So he wanted to go on a massacre from Egypt all the way down to even South Africa. He wanted to create a big river, the biggest river of blood. That was his mission. That's his statement. What kind of a human being is that? His only dream is to see a river of blood, the longest, the biggest river of blood in the world. Imagine that kind of thinking. Why? Why do you want to see that? Because these people are an inferior race. They're blacks. They're Africans. They don't have the right skin tone. That's racism. The British Empire was built on racism, just like the Israeli Nazis, just like the Zionists. They are the same. They're working on the same agenda for ethnic cleansing. Exactly what the Americans did to the Native Americans, that the British did to the Native Australians, the Aborigines. They massacred them in the hundreds and millions. Now we are the next generations. Are we going to follow their suit? Are we going to be a generation to be remembered as racists? Or are we going to be different? Are we going to be peace-loving? Are we going to always look for a peaceful resolution? Because who are we conducting the peace with our own brothers and sisters. So people should put down their arms and speak in a peaceful way. Give the dawah, give the guidance to the people, because they're ignorant. I have many friends that used to insult Islam. They used to insult the Arabs, insult the Muslims, and do a lot of bad things. And I've seen them transform over time as they became my friends, and I started talking to them and telling them the facts of Islam and what Islam teaches. I've seen them transform. And a few of them did become Muslims later on. But yet the vast majority did not become a Muslim. They did not accept, the divine creed and Islam. However, they learned to respect the Muslims, to understand, to see the other side, to understand exactly what the fight is all about. And we should do that. We just deliver the message, tell them the facts, because the media is not going to do it. The media is going to spread lies because they have an agenda and a narrative to spread. They have something to push. They're getting paid, and that's all they're thinking about. Just like one of my close Christian friend, he sides with where the money is. He purely tells me all he cares about is profit, money, nothing else. How much money he's going to be making. So he will side with anyone, even knowingly he knows that he's on the wrong side. He'll go with the strongest. So if there's a bully, he would not defend the victim or the person that's getting bullied. He'll be siding with the bully, so the bully doesn't bully him. That's how weak of a man he is. I see him as a cockroach. I see him as a leech, because all he's interested in is making money. He puts his religion and his Christian belief and everything else aside, and all he does, he just goes, with the strongest, basically. And I told him many times, there comes a time when silence is betrayal. You need to step up to the plate. You need to speak on behalf of your beliefs. You need to represent your belief. So if you believe in peace, love, humanity, and all that stuff, say it. Speak up. Step up to the plate. Speak out. Don't be a coward. Don't live like a coward. And all he's thinking about is himself. How is he going to benefit? So he always goes for the strongest. And most people are like that, unfortunately. It's very sad. People just go with the person, whether it's the criminal, but he's the richest. He's the big baltagi, like the gangster in Arabic, that big gangster in the neighborhood. And they go with him. They submit to him because he's strong. He's powerful. The fatilwa, the fatilwa in Arabic, the thug. They go with that person. Because if they don't, they might get harmed. The shop might get broken into. So they try to befriend the mafia boss. Instead of fighting the criminals. Instead of standing up against injustice. Instead of protecting their neighbor. Say, well, it's not happening to me, it's happening to my neighbor. My neighbors are getting robbed. So let me just, I don't know anything, I can't see anything. Hear no evil, see no evil, and ignore it. But you know what? You'll be next. So if Egypt allows Israel to go in and do a full-scale military invasion and continue this carpet bombing of killing civilians, guess what's going to happen? Egypt's next on the line. Once they finish with Gaza, they'll start with you, with a preemptive strike. It's common sense. That's their mission. And they'll keep going on and on and on. After they'll finish with Egypt, they'll go next. Who's next? It's all about expansion. It's all about ethnic cleansing. The British is the same. The government, I'm not talking about the people. The Germans, you call any European country, anywhere in the world, that's what they'll do. Because all they think about is resources, money, profit, expansion, taking other people's lands and the property and enslaving humanity. That's all it is. Even their own citizens, they're being enslaved. I'm not saying to you they'll show mercy to their own kind. Even the Israeli citizens, they will be next as well. Their human rights will be taken away. You have to be careful about these things. You can't let them walk all over you. Because today it's the Palestinians, then it will be you. Even the citizens of Israel, even the ethnically, even 90% ethnically Jews. They'll be next. And that's exactly what Netanyahu is doing right now. It's a decoy as well. If you can't see it, you need to look a little bit more. You need to get glasses and look and notice that he orchestrated this whole thing as a false flag operation. Because there's so many corruption cases against him, and he wants to take more and more power of the legislative system, and he wants to take more control, so he doesn't get trialed, and all his criminal friends don't face any sort of criminal charges. He wants to take control of the whole country. He wants to be dominating and be a dictator like they have in the Middle East, in other countries. It's the same thing. It's a sad reality. I know many Egyptians that want to support their Palestinian brothers, but Egypt's closed the border. Egypt apparently is passing intelligence to the Israelis. They warned them about what was going on. Whether they deny it and Netanyahu denies it, but it's a probable possibility that it might have happened. Because the government is different than the people. The people might be empathetic and they're trying to help, they're donating blood, but the Egyptian authorities are not allowing it to go through. They're not allowing clean water to go through. They're not allowing electricity. They're not allowing any support. I'm not saying they're not allowing weapons to go in. They're not even allowing medicine to go in. They're not allowing the injured to leave Gaza. They've closed the borders between Gaza. They don't want them to flow in. You're not welcome. Imagine your own mother or your father or your sister or your brother, and you go to them seeking shelter, or they knock on your door and tell you, there's a criminal that's trying to kill me. Help me. Hide me. Someone's trying to rape me. Help me. Your own family, your own blood, and they refuse to open the door for you. They refuse to protect you. Forget about them going out and fighting the rapist, the criminal. They don't even allow you in the house. They don't even give you safety. What kind of a shallow human beings are they? It's a sad reality. There's corruption all over the world. And it's not just Egypt, all over the Middle East. All over the world. All the so-called Muslim brothers and sisters out there, they're not opening the doors, even in the communities. Even my own story, when I moved to the Isle of Man, I approached the Muslim community. I spoke to certain individuals that I thought they were in a position to possibly help me, guide me. They completely ignored me. That's the community that we have today. Disunited. Everyone's thinking about themselves. Well, you can't benefit me, I'm not going to help you. That's their mentality. It's absolutely wrong. That is why I chose to be different. Anytime someone comes or I meet anyone and tells me, look, I've just moved to the island, could you give me some guidance, maybe give me some experience, maybe show me the way, tell me how I could, do this and, look for a property or do this and that, or buy a property or rent a property. I go out of my way to help them because I'm different, because I'm a Muslim by every sense of the word. So even though they do that, I'm not like that. I'm going to help anyone, any human being, irrespective of their creed, their faith, it doesn't matter. Any human beings that ask me for help, I always try to do my best to do something, at least. And if I can't help them, I try my very level best to at least find someone that can support them. But there always are others that are very cowardly. They always make excuses. When I told them about a sister that, she's facing a domestic abuse. I don't know that woman, I don't know anything, but I know her case. She's been facing domestic abuse. And I sought help from people. And the answers that I was getting from other people, they were saying, oh, I'm sure her husband was, punishing her for something. I'm sure she's done something wrong to deserve it. She must deserve it. I said, no woman deserves to be assaulted in such a way. Or for her husband to go to the extent to try to kill her. They were trying to make excuses to just basically say, we don't need to help her. It's her fault. She put herself in that situation. But she's still a human being. I'm sure whatever she did, she doesn't deserve to die or to get harmed in such a way. We should protect her against evil people, illiterate, ignorant people. We shouldn't allow this to go on. There shouldn't be domestic violence in our communities. But unfortunately, that's the reality. People are just chickens. Many people told me stop doing YouTube, stop Why are you talking about these issues? Why are you exposing these issues? Many people close to me told me, just block anyone that asks you for help, just block them. That's the advice that I got from nearest and dearest to me. Block people that ask you for help. Instead of trying to reach out for people that need help, think about yourself. Just be selfish, because everybody else is selfish. So why don't you be selfish? No, I can't be. I have to be different. I have to be a Muslim. A Muslim is someone that submits to the will of God, the Creator. I have to apply these rules if I'm in a situation of combat. I can't break these rules in any way. There's no such thing as terrorism in Islam. It does not exist. It's completely haram. It's unacceptable in Islam. The whole concept of terrorism is not from Islam. You'll find it in other ideologies, you'll find it in some, but it's not in Islam. How could you derive terrorism from these points? Try to explain to me how you could be a terrorist not killing children, not killing women, not killing the elders and sick. Not going out hoping to harm another human being. Even if that person is trying to harm you, you're going out with the intention to seek peace with your enemy. How could you be a terrorist? You have to be a non-Muslim to be a terrorist. Yeah, because then there's no limits to what you could do to achieve your goal. You have to be a non-Muslim to be a terrorist, to do this. You can't be a Muslim and do any of these points there. So yeah, it's a sad reality, unfortunately. But to answer the question again, if I haven't been clear, Islam does not justify anything that happened, a criminal offense that's being committed against other citizens. That is totally unacceptable. It does not permit taking hostages from civilians. That's not acceptable in Islam. And it does not permit beheadings or desecrating the body or stepping on dead corpses as a form of revenge. You can't do that. You can't take your revenge on bodies. You can't desecrate others, human bodies, and you can't harm people. You can't torture. You can't harm the animals. You can't ransack people's properties and whatever. You can't do any of that. That's not acceptable. That cannot be done. But let's be fair. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the oppression that's been going on for the past 75 years. If Israel wants peace, they can have peace very easily, and we can all coexist together. We can all live in peace and harmony together. But they need to dismantle their oppression. They have to treat all human beings as equal. Equal opportunity, education, water, food. They need to show the beauty of their government. But they don't have any beauty. They only have evil, corruption, facade. This is what they have. They're just pro Nazism. I don't know what to give it to. I just have to speak in the language that you understand. You understand fascism, you understand what the Nazis did, or the ideology. That's what they were inspired from. Eugenics, reducing the world population. And their focus, and the primary focus of eugenics, is to reduce the Muslim population and the non-white population. Just so you can understand. So if you're a black or Asian or Indian or whatever, that's their objective. To destroy your population, to reduce your family, and to prevent you from having children. Kill you off, and if they can't kill you with some injections, they'll start wars and there were invasions and so on. It's all complete nonsense what's going on in the world today. But we need to wake up. We need to be different. And if others are breaking the rules, we have to abide by the rules and be patient. So let's just go through this site quickly. I spoke quite a bit. I'm going to move the picture a little bit so I can get better visibility. So yeah, first one, exercise patience. Do not wish for an encounter with the enemy. Pray to Allah to grant you security. But when you are forced to encounter them, exercise patience. This is the saying of the Prophet Muhammad. This was a hadith. Do not kill children, women, elderly, and sick persons. Do not kill any children, women, aged, or sick person. The Prophet Muhammad. That's another saying from the Prophet Muhammad. So you're not allowed to do that. Do not kill monks. Again, self-explanatory. Places of worship you cannot attack. Do not destroy the village, the town. Do not spoil this cultivation fields and gardens. So again, that's not allowed. Do not practice treachery. Do not cut down. I got cut off from the live stream, but I'm just going to keep going. Yeah, do not slaughter animals except for food. Yeah, do not slaughter sheep, camel, or other animals except for food. You know, like you're slaughtering the animals just to deprive of the enemy or whatever from food. You can't do that. You can't cut off water like what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians at the moment. Do not destroy an inhabited place. That's not allowed. That's the saying of the Prophet again. Do not burn bees and do not scatter them. So you can't even use bees, for example, to attack an enemy or burn them or harm, beehives and all that stuff. You're not allowed to do that. In war or peace situation, you can't do any of these things. Do not steal. Do not be a coward. Now, many Muslims have said that in a combat situation, the best thing to do is run. Many people that I know, they always said that. I told them, if your country is being attacked, I was trying to tell them, the situation of what's going on in Gaza and stuff like that. And I said, and I told them, what would you do? If someone's about to attack you, what would you do? And they said, well, the best thing to do is run. Run away. I said, where would you run to? You run into the sea. What are you going to do? They always are cowards. And they always talk about, there's two enemies together. And if they were amongst the army or something, what they will do, they'll be trying to run away from the battlefield. That's their mission. Unfortunately, they're weak people. Weak people, they don't even understand Islam. You cannot be a coward. If you're facing the enemy and they're attacking you, you cannot run away. You cannot run away. You have to fight. Fight till death to defend your family that are back home. You have to fight. You are out there as a warrior. You have to fight, face your enemy, be brave, and move forward. Now the enemy is attacking your city, your village, whatever. You have to fight. You have to defend that city. You have to defend your immediate family. You can't be a coward. Like I witnessed once where this gentleman, someone was on the ground dying. There was a fight in the street, and this gentleman was trying to save. He was first aid trained, and he was trying to save this guy's life. And his mother or his wife, I don't know who, she was telling him, get away, none of your business. You might catch AIDS. Don't help him. And the man was trying to save this other man's life, doing first aid on him. And this other woman, she related to him, was telling him to leave him alone. So it's sad, I said, she's supposed to see her husband or her son or whatever as a hero. He's trying to use his skills that he's been trained to do to save a life. And she's worried about her family member and telling him to walk away, basically. None of your business. What kind of a generation are we, man? Generation of cowards? We can't be like that. That's what a Muslim is. He puts himself forward to save other people's lives. It's very special. It's a great opportunity to get a great reward from the Creator when you try to save a life. That's why there's so many doctors and Muslim doctors and nurses and people that go into the medical field, because they're trying to gain that reward of saving people's lives, not killing people, but saving lives. It has a great reward in Islam. And you can't be a coward either. It's unacceptable. Free the captives. So yes, you have prisoners of war. Free them. Help the hungry and the sick. Again, we're here to serve the world. As Muslims, as human beings, we are here to serve others. Make the world a better place for everyone, for the next generation, for the current and the next. We're here to contribute to the growth and, success, not contribute to destruction. So there's a lot of things that we have to learn. Even I'm learning, and I'm reminding myself of these lessons and these sayings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, peace and blessings be on him. But this is Islam. This is real Islam. You want to judge the Muslims? You read the Quran. Look in the Quran. Look in the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, how he lived his life, how his companions interpreted his sayings, and how they lived their lives. Don't look at the people today, because the vast majority of them are not following Islam. Allah be the judge on them. They're completely disunited. They feel pity for what's going on, but they don't feel empathetic. They don't feel that sympathy. Oh, if we feel sorry for them, we'll just make a supplication for them. Allah didn't ask you to just make a supplication. He told you to be proactive, do something more. Speak up against injustice. Stand up for truth. That's what Allah asked you. If you can change something with your hand, change it with your hand. If you can't, then you at least speak up, because silence is betrayal. Even if your mother or father tell you not to speak up because they're scared for you, you should speak up. Disobey them in this situation, because they're telling you something that goes against the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad told us, don't be cowards. Speak up for justice. Speak up for human rights. Don't live like a coward. So disobey them. If your parents tell you to go and pray, give charity, do stuff, obey them. But if they tell you not to, turn a blind eye. Think about yourself. Enrich yourself. Be selfish like us. Don't listen to them. They're telling you basically don't be a Muslim. In other words, to disobey the Creator. Because the Creator taught us we have to do charity. We have to be concerned. And we have to speak up for truth. We have to stand up for the weak. Protect the weak. So if they give you good advice, listen to them. But if they give you bad advice that goes against the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad, listen to the Prophet Muhammad, listen to your Creator, and be a good Muslim as much as you can. No one's perfect. And we all have our faults. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our vices. We all have our challenges. Life is not easy, but you should do your best to be as best version of yourself as you can. Compete against yourself. Always try to incrementally do something productive. Even just the most basic thing that you could do. Just do something. No one's going to judge you. Everyone's at a different level. Some people go to the gym and they work harder. They lift more weights. Some people, they can't do that kind of. They're just starting out. Work on yourself. At least you're doing some activity, even a little bit. Even if you spend 10 minutes in the gym to improve your health, it's still an investment and it's still progress. No one's going to look down on you, but people look down on you when you do nothing. You will look down, you will disrespect yourself if you're a loser, if you're a failure, if you're not actually doing something. And you're not a failure if you're right now at ground zero. It doesn't matter. But you're a winner inside because you're still fighting. You're still trying to improve your life. You're trying to do something so you can be a more productive human being. That's a winner. The winner's mentality. A coward and loser mentality is like my Christian friend who says, "Oh, he doesn't get involved in politics or religion. He always likes to stay on the side. He goes with the strongest. He looks where the money is. He hasn't got time to get involved and speak up for human rights and do charity. He needs to make every minute of his life count and profitable. And what's in it for him? Where's the money? That kind of stuff. So that's all he's interested in. This is a sellout. This is a cockroach. This is a cheap guy. I don't respect him. He's my friend, but there's a limit. I will never have him on my shows or in any of my podcasts because he hasn't got a good message to deliver. He'll be just delivering capitalism, nihilism, selfishness, greed. That's the message that if I bring him on, this is what he'll be advocating: how to make money and be rich and enjoy life and all that stuff. Forget about everyone else. Forget about the environment. Forget about, guiding people. Just show off. and you know, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to bring these kind of losers in and whatever, even though some people define success as monetary success. It's not like that. You have to have balance. It's not just about having capital. You know, it's what you do with it, what you do with your time. So for me, a successful person is a balanced human being. They give justice to everything in their life. They don't have extreme views in one area and then down. But yeah, sticking to the topic. Yeah. So this is the point, and there's a conclusion. I believe the website is called Muslim Memo or something like that. But you can go on Google, find out the facts for yourself. Maybe you'll find better sources of information. And yeah, learn about Islam. That's your birthright. Find out about the truth. Find out the facts. Look at the history of when Israel was created and how it was created and what the British did. The terrorist attacks that they did in Saudi Arabia, or what it was called the Hijaz. It was all under one nation. Most of the North Africa and Africa and many places in the world was all one country once upon a time, before the British, the French and the Italians, they came in and started colonizing and dividing, chopping up the lands and distributing it amongst themselves and exploiting you know, countries and people and that kind of stuff, which I mentioned. So yeah, just look at what's been happening for the past 2,000 years, 3,000 years. Go back in history, learn about your history. Learn about all these conflicts. Of course, the victor always writes the history, but try to find, you know, different perspectives and weigh it up here. See where the facts, you know, what actually tallies up here, what makes sense, and what makes sense in your heart as well. Because you have an internal guidance system. Okay, you have like a compass that God gave each of us, which will always guide you to truth. But you have to seek it. You have to say, today I intend to travel to X city. You have to have a direction. If you have a direction, you will find your route, because you will start to look at the maps and your navigator, you know, Google Map, and you'll start finding your route, how to get from London to Glasgow, for example. You get directions. You'll start seeing signs. God will send you the signs. So if you want to know the facts and, you know, and separate it from fiction, you have to put that as one of your agendas. I need to find out the truth and ask God to guide you. And God will guide you if you're sincere. If you're not sincere, you won't be guided. If you're a loser, like some of my friends who are just basically after money and wasting their time and enjoying life and whatever, it's their life. I'm not asking them to be like me. I'm not asking them to do anything. Live your life the way you think is right for you. Good luck. But that's a loser's life, in my opinion. That's a loser. Because it's empty. And I've seen a lot of people that have millions and millions of pounds, almost billionaires, and they're very depressed. Because you always have that void, because you're not really fulfilling that void. Your true purpose in life is not being fulfilled. So you always feel depressed. So you'll keep thinking the only way to get more happiness and to serve that is to get more richer, to hoard more wealth, to become more selfish, more greedy, to do extreme things. And that's what they do. And that's why you see so many wealthy individuals committing suicide at some point, because they just keep going, accumulating, stealing, robbing, cheating, lying, doing different things, going with, you know, many women, and eventually it just becomes boring for them. And then they say, well, what am I living for? And if someone exceeds them in some way, because they're in competition with other people, they're working at a different level, and if someone goes beyond them, they feel depressed. You know, I met an individual once, this was many years ago. He had like 20 million or something like that in his account. And I was a young man, and this guy had like 20 million plus capital. And I think his cousin had like 21 million. When he found out, he went into depression. Just because his cousin is richer than him by 1 million. That's how sad people are, because they attach to things that they have no value. So you just attach your heart to the Creator. Attach your heart something that has benefit to you, not in this world, but also in the next. Something that's eternal. But if you attach yourself to a woman or money or something materialistic, and that thing goes, or you lose it, your life will be destroyed. You'll have a severe heartbreak. You will suffer. You'll go through a lot of pain. If you attach yourself to money and you lose the money, you'll be gone. I lost a fortune, more than people earn in a whole lifetime, in just weeks. I lost a fortune, and I'm fine about it. I said, Alhamdulillah, Qadr Allah ma sha'a fa'al. Doesn't matter. It's a test from Allah. I made a mistake. I lost the money, bad investments. I took huge risks, and I paid the price. Expensive lesson, but it was written. It must have been written, and God knows my intention, what I wanted to do with my wealth, or what I intended, what my plans were to do good. He knows, and so I didn't intend to do anything. I wasn't doing it for my own selfish needs. I was doing it because I had a greater purpose to fulfill in my life that will benefit society, benefit the community. I was thinking about technologies and different things. It didn't work out. So what? I started off again in my life and started from ground zero. And at some point in my life, I was below sub-zero, below the ground. So those that are complaining about they're struggling in life and cost of living and all that stuff, boy, they're so lucky, because they've never been sub-zero. They're still above zero. I started sub-zero, below having anything. That's where I started. You know, that kind of level. So I understand, and I'm saying, if I can do something, if I can change, if I can improve my health, for example, if I can improve my financial situation, if I can start a business from rock bottom, if I could do that, anybody can. I'm sure you have a better start in life than I did. And I'm sure there are people that were worse off than me, and they succeeded as well. But you need to persevere, you need to have that drive. So I'm advising you these basic lessons in entrepreneurship as well, because I want the very benefit for you. I want you to be better. I want you to become successful, not just in this life, but I want you to be successful in the afterlife as well. I want you to be on the right path for your sake, not for my sake, for your sake. I'm not going to get a penny if you succeed. I'm not going to get anything if you go to paradise. I'm not getting anything. I'm doing it for your sake. So it's for your sake, you should open up the Quran. You should read the Quran. Find out what it says in the Quran. Just read a few pages. Randomly, open it randomly. I took one religious Christian man, I think he was studying theology, and I took him to a mosque once, and he said to me, show me the miracle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. He didn't say that. He said to me, show me your miracle. And I just gave him the Quran. He said, what? This is a magic book or what? And I said, just open any page randomly. And you just open a page, and the first thing that he read, bow down with those who bow down in prayer. And the adhan came off. And I said to him, you now have to fill that. If you want guidance, this is what is ordering you around. Bow down. I mean, he could have opened absolutely any page. He could have been talking about anything. And the only page he opened up, this was the message in big, bold writing, very clear. And it said, bow down in those who bow down in prayer. Prostrate yourself. And I said to him, you are a Christian man, you studied theology, you're academic, you're this and that. Now you need to do what the Prophet Isa, that you're claiming is divine, Jesus, peace and blessing upon him, he did that in the Garden of Gethsemane. He bowed down on the earth and he said, I by my own will can do nothing. I bow myself in peace and total submission to you, God in heaven. I by my own self can do nothing. I by the will of God can do this. And he said, I know you can hear me. I don't need to raise my voice, but I'm raising my voice so the people that are sleeping, my companions, my disciples, these people that are lazy, too lazy to wake up and pray, they can hear this message and not to make the mistake later on and claim divinity and make up all this nonsense that goes on nowadays. So they don't make that mistake. I'm making this statement very clear. for the most dumbest people to even they would understand. How could then someone raise him above anything and create him, give him divinity after him making such a clear statement? I, by my own will, can do nothing. I, by the will of God. Who was he bowing to? Was he bowing to himself? If it was God, would God be bowing, praying to God? Doesn't make sense. Why would he be angry when someone said to him, "Oh, great man"? And he said to him, "I'm not great. There's no one greater but the God, the Lord. There's no one greater than Allah." This is what Allahu Akbar means. When people panic, when they hear the word Allahu Akbar means the God, the only God is greater, is the greatest. This is exactly what Jesus said. When a man was behind him saying to him, "Oh, good man, oh, great man, great man." He said, "I'm not great. I'm equal. Me and you are equal. We're both human beings. We're both on the same mission. We're both servants of God." He became angry at that man. He didn't say, "Thank you. I guarantee you go to heaven." He didn't say that to him. He said to him, "Don't say that to me. Don't put me on a pedestal. Don't raise me up above my status. Me and you are equal. We're both servants of God." That's the message that he told him. And that's written in the Bible. SubhanAllah. How could someone be misguided after reading the Bible? Even through the Bible itself, you guide you to Islam. Because even Jesus in the Bible said he is a Muslim. Very clear. Moses himself said he's a Muslim. Everybody. Abraham. He was not anything except a Muslim. Someone that submitted to the will of God. From the beginning of creation until today. Those who are truly on the right path are those who submit their will to the will of God, the God, Allah. Simple message. Beginning of creation until now. It's not different religions, different messages, and everyone's got this one religion. And my Jewish brothers know this as well. They know that we believe in the same God. It's the same message. The 10 Commandments. Same thing. Now, if Israel was a Jewish state and they're basing their government and their rule based on the Torah, let's assume that. Where's "thou shalt not kill"? "Thou shalt not steal"? Where is all these 10 Commandments? Because it's not built on that. It's not built based on the Jewish faith. Nor was it built on, the Constitution is based on the Torah. It's not. Even in the Quran, Allah says, "Judge by the Torah" to the Jews. The Jews, they judge by the Torah. He didn't say, "Don't judge by the Torah." No, look at your Torah. Judge by it. These are the rules that we're giving to you. Now you need to follow the rules. But they go outside that because they're a secular group. They're not based on the Jewish faith. They're not based on the Torah, nor is it based on representing the Jews or the children of Israel or descendants of the Prophet Ishaq. They're not doing that. And many Zionists I spoke to as well told me that. They said anyone can be a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. Rishi Sunak is a Zionist. Keir Starmer is a Zionist. All these people are Zionists, self-professed Zionists. And there might not even be 1% ethnically Jew even to be a Zionist. You can have black Zionists, you can have yellow Zionists, you can have Chinese Zionists. It doesn't matter. It's not about the color of your skin. It's about racism. If you're a racist, you're a Zionist. If you submit that this is a superior race, then you're a Zionist. You're a racist. If you submit there's white supremacists and you say the whites are the superior race. The whites, because they're white, God made them that color because they're pure. And if you're dark skinned, the more sins you have. Nonsense. This is what the racism is built on. Everyone, we're all equal. We're all equal. We're all one family. God loves us all equally. He does not discriminate. He does not base people that are for paradise and people that are in hellfire based on their skin color. He's not judging you. You're not born with a sin. Every child is born sinless, pure. But that's how the colonial powers, when they invaded Africa, that's how they fooled our African brothers. They told them, close your eyes and hold on to the Bible and believe. And while they closed their eyes, they stole their land. They stole Africa from under their feet. How? By telling them to close an eye and believe in this book. And look what the book says. You are our slaves. Be a good slave and you'll go to heaven. God may forgive you. But if you're a bad slave and resist us, resist our occupation, then you're going to go to hell, because God chose us. Jesus was a white man, although he wasn't. And then they make a picture of a white man with blue eyes and blonde hair. Scandinavian. Suddenly Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, who was born in Palestine, ethnically Jew, is now a Scandinavian man. He's got blonde hair and blue eyes. 7 foot tall. Because it's complete nonsense. And then to counter that, in Africa, they have a black Jesus. They can't make up their mind. Everyone's going to race. You can't fight racism with more racism. We're all one family. I've said it so many times. You should get it by now. Anyway, I spoke quite a lot. I hope you enjoyed the content. I now have to really get back to work, inshallah. Okay, assalamu alaikum for now. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and look forward to making more podcasts. If I'm not going to an investor event tonight, then I might spend a bit of time creating more content on the channel. And do share your comments and any constructive criticism. If I made any mistakes, if I misquoted a hadith or said something incorrect, correct me, because I'm also trying to learn. I'm also trying to be a better Muslim, a better human citizen in the world, someone that's beneficial. So do guide me as well, because I'm here to also learn from you as much as I'm trying to share knowledge and my belief and my opinions on certain situations. And anyone in Gaza or Palestine, I know you don't have internet. You know, if you do manage to get out of this siege in some way and you come across my video, and if I said anything that offended you or offensive or incorrect, please correct me. You know, you know, the videos that have been passed on to me showing atrocities and, you know, things that, you know, some of the fighters have committed against innocent civilians. It may not be accurate. It may be fabricated. I don't know. I can't rule things out. So yeah, do let me know how situations went and what's going on the ground if you can reach me. And I wish for you peace, love and happiness and success, and may inshallah Allah free Palestine. Allah has the power to free Palestine, because Allah is a real superpower. He's allowing the enemies to succeed a little bit, to enjoy their rampage of violence, but eventually they would lose and they'll be humiliated. That I'm certain of. And your dead are in paradise. They're the highest ranks and they're now celebrating in paradise. But their dead are in hellfire for eternity. And if those who are alive amongst the ranks of the IDF today, they put down their weapons and repent for their sins and inhumane action, then perhaps, maybe, Allah will forgive them and turn all their bad deeds to good. And they might also end up in paradise. But if they don't, and they continue persisting to spread corruption, to kill innocent people, and spread corruption in the land, and spread their false ideology of racism, discriminating against other human race, then they are definitely going to hellfire for eternity. They will regret it. They'll be crying with tears of blood on Judgment Day. They will be the greatest losers. I guarantee you that. And with that, I wish you peace, love, and happiness. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shalom alaikum in Hebrew. Take care. Bye-bye.